Somewhere in a fictional valley in China, there's a scroll people were willing to kill for. Legend says it holds unlimited power. Warriors spend their entire lives training just to be considered worthy of touching it. An entire kingdom is too afraid to even look inside. When it finally gets opened on screen, there's nothing there. No secret technique, no hidden formula, just a blank, reflective surface, staring back at whoever's holding it. Most people watched that scene, laughed at the twist, and went back to their popcorn. But 60 seconds after that moment, the main character makes a choice, a small one. Almost nobody notices it happening. That choice is the actual lesson, not the scroll, not the big reveal, the 60 seconds after it. Stick with me, because I'm coming back to that exact moment at the end of this video. Once you have the full picture, once you see what really happens in those 60 seconds, you won't watch this movie or think about your own goals quite the same way again. Here's something most people won't say out loud. Most people aren't actually chasing success. They're chasing a shortcut to it, and they've convinced themselves those are the same thing. Think about how much time gets burned hunting for. The one business idea that can't fail, the one investment that prints money, the one mentor who can open every door, the one strategy that finally makes everything click. None of that is stupidity. It's wiring. Humans default to believing that if something is missing from their life, it must be sitting somewhere out there, waiting to be discovered, not something that has to be built. So people keep looking outward, rarely inward. Maybe that shows up as the course sitting half-finished in your inbox right now. Or the business idea you've researched for months but never launched, because you're still waiting to feel ready enough. That waiting isn't laziness. It's the same instinct that had an entire kingdom convinced the answer was locked inside a scroll instead of inside themselves. Quick gut check. How many times have you told yourself, I just need the right opportunity, instead of asking whether you're actually the kind of person that opportunity would work for, even if it landed in your lap tomorrow? Simple question. Not an easy one. And a cartoon panda is about to answer it better than most business books ever have. Let's rebuild the scene properly, because the context is where the lesson actually lives. In the world of Kung Fu Panda, the Dragon Scroll has been locked away for generations. Legend says whoever reads it becomes the most powerful warrior alive. No one has ever been judged worthy enough to open it. One warrior becomes consumed by that legend. A brilliant fighter who trains harder than anyone alive, masters every technique that exists, and sacrifices relationships, patience, and peace of mind, all chasing one single prize, getting his hands on that scroll. By every measurable standard, he earns it. He becomes the strongest warrior in the entire valley. Disciplined, relentless, feared. And then he's denied it anyway. That denial breaks something in him. Obsession curdles into rage. He becomes willing to tear apart the very kingdom that trained him, just to take what he believes he's owed. Meanwhile, through a chain of accidents nobody could have predicted, the scroll ends up in the hands of the least likely warrior imaginable, an overweight noodle shop worker with zero formal training, who fell into this world by pure chance and spends most of the story getting laughed at, falling down stairs, and struggling with moves that come easily to everyone around him. On paper, there's no contest between these two. One has earned everything. The other has earned nothing. The tension builds for the entire film. Everyone wants this scroll. Everyone is certain it holds the answer. Then finally, it opens. Nothing. No technique, no formula. Just a blank surface, reflecting his own face back at him. How could the single most powerful object in the entire story, the thing an entire kingdom feared, turn out to be completely empty? Here's the part almost everyone misses. The scroll wasn't empty. It just didn't contain what everyone expected it to contain. There was never a hidden technique waiting inside, never a shortcut. The only thing in that scroll was a reflection of the person holding it. That's the entire operating principle behind how skill, money, and results actually work outside the movie theater. The scroll doesn't grant power. It reveals it. It's proof of something already built, not a gift that manufactures something out of nothing. Which means the real question was never, where do I find my dragon scroll? The better question is, what would the market actually see if it looked directly at you right now? Here's a real story. In the year 2000, a small startup with around 300,000 subscribers and no profit walked into a meeting with the biggest video rental company on Earth, a company with roughly 9,000 stores and $6 billion in annual revenue. The startup offered to sell itself for $50 million. The bigger company said no. By some accounts, they laughed them out of the room. That startup was Netflix. The company that turned it down was Blockbuster. Here's the part that matters most. Blockbuster's entire empire ran on physical stores and late fees. Netflix was mailing DVDs to people's houses on a flat monthly rate, with no late fees at all. A model that looked small, slow, and forgettable in 2000, next to 9,000 storefronts. It didn't look like a threat. It looked like a novelty. That's exactly why it got dismissed instead of studied. 10 years later, Blockbuster filed for bankruptcy. Netflix went on to become worth well over $100 billion. Thousands of times the price Blockbuster once turned down. Blockbuster had every resource imaginable: the stores, the brand recognition, the customer base, the capital. Netflix at the time had almost none of that. But Netflix kept building the one thing Blockbuster wasn't: evidence. Real, working value, refined again and again, even while losing money, even after getting dismissed in that boardroom. The market didn't end up rewarding the company with more resources. It rewarded the one that kept becoming more valuable year after year, whether anyone important was watching or not. Resources were never the deciding factor. What you quietly become while nobody's paying attention usually decides the outcome long before any opportunity ever shows up to reward it. So if that's true, why doesn't everyone just build the skill? Because the middle is brutal, and almost nobody warns you about it before you get there. Picture two people, purely hypothetical, starting from the same spot. Both launch an online store on the same day with the same $500, selling nearly identical products. Person 1 posts content daily. For the first 7 weeks, almost no views, no sales, just silence. By week 8, they're questioning every decision they've made. Person 2 does the same thing for about 3 weeks, then convinces themselves the product was wrong, or the platform was wrong, or the timing was off. They pivot to a new idea, then another. 6 months later, they've started 4 different projects and finished none of them. Person 1 kept going. Somewhere around week 12, the numbers finally started moving. Not because a secret unlocked, but because months of invisible repetition finally became visible. This is the part nobody puts on camera. The boring, unglamorous middle, where it looks like nothing is working. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they quit exactly one dragon scroll away from becoming the version of themselves who could actually open it. Right now, there are 2 kinds of people watching this video. One is nodding along, already mentally filing this under interesting video, and about to go back to scrolling for the next opportunity, the next sign, the next thing to watch instead of build. The other just felt this land somewhere uncomfortable, because they already know exactly which unfinished thing this video is describing. If you're the second one, good. That discomfort is useful. It's the same discomfort every person in Part 5 felt right before they either quit or kept going long enough to find out what they were actually capable of. Here's why that middle stretch matters so much. Skill compounds almost exactly like money does. A small deposit does almost nothing in year 1. It barely looks like it's moving. But left alone long enough, that same small, unremarkable deposit multiplies into something unrecognizable. Capability works the same way. 1 week of discipline feels like nothing. It practically is nothing in isolation. 10 pages of a book a day feels irrelevant compared to someone binge reading a book in one sitting once a month. Until you check back in a year and the daily reader has finished 40 books to the other person's 12. Stacked for months, then years, small and consistent compounds into a completely different level of ability. The kind that starts attracting money, trust, and opportunity almost automatically without having to chase any of it. Most people give up during the flat part of the curve, right before it bends upward, right where it looks like nothing is happening. Which is exactly what compounding looks like, every single time, before it becomes visible to anyone watching from the outside. To be fair, this isn't an argument that tools, capital, and opportunity don't matter. That would be naive. Money still buys leverage. Connections still open doors faster. The right opportunity at the right moment genuinely accelerates things, sometimes by years. But leverage is a multiplier, not a substitute. And a multiplier applied to 0 is still 0. Give 2 people the exact same loan. One already knows how to build, price, and sell something valuable. That loan becomes fuel. The other doesn't yet. And that same loan just becomes a faster way to end up in the same place they'd have ended up anyway, only more expensive. Hand someone with real skill more capital, a platform, an audience, and they'll usually turn it into more results. Hand someone with no underlying skill the exact same resources, and it tends to disappear, often faster than it would have on its own. The scroll was never the enemy here. It was just never the actual source. Tools amplify whatever's already there. They don't manufacture it out of nothing. So let's go back to that moment. 60 seconds after the scroll turns out to be blank. The obvious reaction would be collapse. Panic. I trained for nothing. There's no secret. What was even the point of any of it? That's not what happens. Instead, he picks himself back up, walks out to face the exact threat he's most afraid of, and fights using nothing but what he'd already built. Every failed attempt, every clumsy rep, every small adjustment from earlier in the story that nobody, including him, thought mattered at the time. The scroll didn't hand him anything new in that moment. It simply removed the last excuse he had left to keep hiding behind. That's the real lesson. Not believe in yourself, which is too vague to actually act on. Something more specific. The moment you stop waiting for permission, proof, or a sign from something outside you, is the moment you finally start using what you've already built. Success was never something to be found out there. Success is something you become, quietly, in the parts of the process nobody applauds. The day you stop searching for the scroll and start becoming the person who wouldn't need one, that's the day things actually start moving. The dragon scroll wasn't empty. It was a mirror. And the 60 seconds after it, the choice to act anyway, with no guarantee, no secret, no shortcut. That was always the real lesson hiding inside a kid's movie about a panda. If you've been waiting for a sign to start the boring, unglamorous part, the training, the reps, the invisible weeks where nothing seems to move, this is it. Pick one thing today, not the big leap. The small, unglamorous middle part. Start building the reflection you actually want the market to see. And if this reframed something for you, that's exactly the kind of thing worth sitting with, instead of scrolling past. Before you leave, I want you to be brutally honest with yourself. How many more years are you willing to lose waiting for the perfect moment? How many dreams are you willing to bury because you're afraid your first attempt won't be good enough? Nobody is coming to rescue you. No mentor can do the work for you. No motivational video can change your life for you. No course, no opportunity, no lucky break can replace the decision you refuse to make. Your future is being built by what you do after this video ends. Not tomorrow, not next Monday, not when you have more money, not when you feel confident. When this screen goes black, you'll make one of two decisions. You'll either close this video, tell yourself, "I'll start later," and wake up months from now in the exact same place. Or you'll finally do the one thing you've been avoiding. Make the call, launch the business, write the first page, upload the first video, go to the gym, learn the skill, take the risk. It won't be perfect. It doesn't have to be, because the people you admire today didn't become extraordinary by waiting. They became extraordinary by moving while they were still uncertain. One day, you'll look back at this moment, and you'll either thank yourself for having the courage to begin, or you'll regret that you let fear steal another year of your life. The choice isn't hidden in another scroll. It isn't hidden in another excuse. It's in your hands. So prove, to yourself, not to the world, that today is the day your story changes. Close this video and get to work. But before you go, if this message challenged the way you think, don't let it end here. Hit the like button so more people who need this message can discover it. And if you're serious about building wealth, discipline, and a life most people only dream about, subscribe to this channel. Every week, we'll break down powerful lessons from movies, history, business, and real life. Lessons designed to help you think better, act faster, and create a future you're proud of. And one more thing. If you're tired of knowing exactly what to do, but never taking action, I've written a guide called the Action Blueprint. It's a practical step-by-step guide that will help you build real discipline, overcome procrastination, and finally become the person you've always wanted to be. Not someday, but starting today. If you're ready to stop watching your life from the sidelines and start making real progress, you'll find the Action Blueprint through the link in the description of this video and on my profile. Your next breakthrough won't come from watching one more video. It will come from taking your first step. I'll see you in the next one.